So now we're gonna try to do a head from planes over this skull. It will be interesting. The other exercise you can do is just to try to do a head over the skull. So maybe we can try to do a simple head first and then head from planes, but let's see. But first, let me try something. So this is almost profile view, so let's try. Here. All right. Looks good. So here will be the ear, like this. The ear hole. This thing. This will be our nose, and make sure your nostrils are going inside the face, because this is very, very, very important and one of the main mistakes people make. And you see, it's almost looking like a real human. Of course, then this will be from the chin back, it will be almost horizontal line, and then we'll have the neck from here also, like this, the neck. Of course, if our guy is superhuman, amazing muscles and stuff, this could be here, like this, super thick. But it usually is not, so we have to be careful about that. This will be our sternocleidomastoid muscle, this one here. And yeah. Okay, let's try it. So what do I do? In here I will go to object mode, and then I will add a sphere. And I will start with this sphere. Turn my symmetry on. In Blender, this is in Blender. In ZBrush, you of course will append a sphere and start from that. So now we will try to adjust our sphere. See how nice it will look like this. Amazing, high-tech skull. And yeah, we'll adjust the skull, the sphere around the skull. You know, very, very roughly. Then I will flatten it with the high polish brush in ZBrush, or in this case, Scrape Peaks brush, which is the equivalent here in Blender. So Scrape Peaks or high polish brush we're doing. Okay, inflate a little bit here, and then I will take the neck and just pull it out. And as I said, the neck shouldn't be like this, like a turtleneck. This forward, no. It should be something like that. A little bit forward like this. It's for the best. Okay, and of course I always do the traps, but this time, as always, the sphere doesn't have enough geometry for me to do the traps properly, and the traps are only in the back side of the neck. They're not in the front here, they're not there. So Control R here to remesh, and in ZBrush, of course, you have to Dynamesh. Dynamesh at low resolution. Remember, don't Dynamesh something higher. Higher resolution, if you've seen experienced artists make higher resolution models and start from higher resolution, don't follow their steps. They're experienced artists. They are very good at what they're doing. They have a lot of experience. They know exactly what they're doing. As for beginners, I always prefer, and I teach people to use first low and then higher and higher resolution, but first very low resolution. Here we can see the skull below. This is with Alt-Z. In Blender, in ZBrush, you have the transparency mode. You can try to use it. Of course, here I know that my muzzle of the mouth should be a little bit bigger. The distance between the skull and the skin here is pretty big, so I'm doing that. Here I will make this not inflate, but you know, push this also in, and just making overall the silhouette of our head. Yeah, it's looking pretty odd with this double nose, of course. So I will smooth it, and I will make just one nose. One nose is better than two noses. Always. Always. I always choose one nose over the two. So now I will fill this area here around the eyes, and I will kind of smooth it. So if you notice, around the eyes, our skin is pretty thin and there are not too many muscles just on the orbit of the eye. The whole orbit of the eye is almost, you can touch it. Only here in this part you have a little bit more meat and some muscles, but it's not too much. So yeah, we have to bear that in mind. And also in Blender, I forgot how it is in ZBrush, but here this is not completely symmetrical, so I will just symmetrize it. Of course, this is happening with here. Just up here, you go symmetrize. And I'm saying that things for Blender and for ZBrush because I know there will be people that always will say, but why don't you make this course in ZBrush, for example, or why are you making it in Blender? And again, I will say that it doesn't matter which software you use. What matters is the sculpting skills, and that's what I'm trying to teach you here. The forms, the shapes, how to do them. Now, I'm doing a basic nose. And the eye sockets, I will pull them. So, let's see. It's looking relatively fine. And now we can do the ears. The ears, I always do mask. Invert the mask. With Control I, you can do invert the mask, of course, and make the ear. And now with the ear, you see, I will clear the mask. It looks much better now with the ear. When we put the ear. And where is the ear? Where is the ear starting from the side view? From the side view, it starts kind of from the middle point of the head, which is around here. And then it starts from the middle. And all the ear is the back half of the head. It's there. It's in the back half of the head. From the side view. From the front view, where is the ear? The ear would be around the nose. Where is it? Where it starts the nose, and then the ear will be around that position. Of course, how do you know where the nose starts? And that we have to learn in here at some point. I will dig a little bit here. You see, if I dig a lot, I will reach the skull at some point. But here, I need to have some muscles, some, you know, some tendons and stuff like this. So I don't exactly want this to be so much in. You know, there are some people which have a lot of, which have very less fat in their faces, like MMA fighters and stuff. And in them, you will see a very big, you know, this deep things in here, which, you know, now in our character will not be exactly cool, but we will do some exercise. We'll see. Now, overall, we are in a good shape in here. I think we are. And now we need more resolution. And let me say a little bit about the proportions of the head looking from the front. Now, I will push this area a little bit like this and pull this down to reach the skull level. Where's the skull level? Ooh, the skull is too low, but I think it's good. This is better. Overall, it's better than just a few seconds ago. Now, let's increase the resolution and we will see what happens. So increase the resolution, increase the resolution. And now you see we have a very cool shape of our face. Very cool. We have the muzzle of the mouth. We have the chin area here. This. We have this kind of, you know, it's almost like one blob of one sphere. One half sphere here just put into the face. We have this area, which is from the cheekbones, and it's flat. It's kind of. And we have this area, which is also coming from the back, and it's flat. So we have overall, if we look at here, we have this, and in the back, and here we will push. As I told you, this is a little bit more inside, so I will push there. And it's very important to do so. When we do so, you see how our head is visibly defined from the front view. There are visible borders in here, and then the ear starts from somewhere from the back. You know, you don't see exactly where it starts, which is, I think, the best. And you will see, I mean, you will notice in your sculpts, if you do the ears area like this, if it's gonna be better, or like this is gonna be better. And I definitely will say that this is better, but Yeah, one of the also main mistakes that people make are making the head like this, which you see very slight difference, but enormous in terms of aesthetics. The aesthetics of this is much better. That's why, even for this advice, this course is worth it. Only this advice. And I have a lot more advices. And of course, the feedback session where I will feedback few heads, at least 5. And we will see the real beginner mistakes in action with those heads. So now I did the nostrils. Of course, the nose itself, it's pretty complex shape. So don't underestimate the nose. Don't just make something. The nose is a complex shape, and we will have to go into a little bit of a deeper detail on the nose. But overall, I told you how to do it. I will smooth this area because I don't care. I will just flatten this area, flatten the sides, flatten the bottom, and we will see the very, very kind of beginner's shape of the nose, if we can say. The beginner shape of the nose, or the stylized nose, how it will look. So the stylized nose look somehow like this. Of course, it can vary in different people, but mostly it will look something like that. So let me draw it over for you, and you will see. So here, the side view, it's flat almost. It's like this part in here. But let's turn it as the guy on the reference. It will be easier for everybody. So, okay, again. Front plane. Front upper plane. Here we have this, which goes to the eyebrows, and it's like a traps turned over. Very important part. Here it's thin. This is thin. Here it's very thin. Then we have the front plane, which is a front plane, basically. Easy. Here we have another plane, which is already kind of down. But this can vary, of course. If you do this, from this you can easily go to any other shape of the nose. Then you have this kind of plane, which is the side plane of the nostril. It's very stylized here because we have other planes here. But if you do this, as I told you, then from this it's easy. Then this is the nostril part where the nostril will be. This is the bottom plane here. It's kind of, kind of a plane, just like this. It's here, easy. And then we will have this plane in here. So one of the main mistakes also is making this distance here in the top, this distance, making it too small. The eyes are kind of deep, especially the corners of the eyes are deep inside. And then we have kind of the bulge of the eye. But the corner itself is deep, and then it's the bulge. So the nose, that's it for the nose. Let's move on. So I did this kind of a stylized nose. I will inflate this area here. And see, I'm not doing it exactly like it is here, but there are different types of people. If the guy is a little bit more, narrow, we may say, if it doesn't have too much face fat, the planes can look like I'm doing here, like this, this, and something like that. Overall. So this plane here is the cheek plane. Of course, it can be separated from here, something like this, but it depends. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't matter. This is the side plane here, this is the chewing muscle here, and then here sometimes we can have a little bit of a frontal plane, and then we go forward with this side plane, which is long, going almost into the chin. Here we have this, we have the front plane of the chin, we have the top plane of the chin, and then we have the overall muzzle of the mouth here. And then we will make the mouth over that. And the bottom of the lower lip, but whatever. So the idea here is to have all these planes established, kind of, to know how to narrow the front part of the face. You see how narrow it is compared to the rest. It's very important. And when you do that, you will be able to then continue and do a right face. At least better than before, definitely. Because now you know a lot more things. Even now, this is the 5th video of this course, and now you know a lot more about the face than in the beginning of the course, or before you begin the course. So go ahead and leave a good review, whatever you bought the course from. If you bought it from the torrents, leave a good comment on the torrents. It's cool again. Yeah. I'm on the this torrent and I'm reading those, so it will be nice. But if you bought it from ArtStation or Flip Normals or Udemy, a good review will be appreciated. Thank you very much. Bad review will not be appreciated. Thank you again. Now I'm just hiding the bones, and they have to be just below the surface. So if I smooth a little bit, the bones have to be there. If I smooth here, if I push, the bones are there, so I smooth. Now, how to make the eyes? I told you, the eyes, we have to just add some bulges in this area. And this will be our eyes. But don't leave them like this. The eyes are never only just bulges there. Above them, especially on the side, on this side, we have fat pads. Of course, this is mostly true for the female. We have kind of a big fat pads on the side here, just above the upper eyelid. For the male, we have some, but it's not that visible. And also in the bottom here, we have some fat, so I will just make sure they are not just this kind of a bulges going there. And yeah, it looks kind of nice. Of course, we can dig the overall eyelid to see. We don't have too much geometry, but I like to even to do it in this stage. And then when I do the geometry and smooth a little bit, and then it will be easier for me to do it later. So this will be our eyes. They look almost like eyes even now, which is cool, yes. But if we want this to be more male, we have to kind of make this a little bit more pronounced, those lines in here, this area here. A little bit, but not too much. If you do it too much, it will be a male, but it will be something like Nikolai Valuev. Nikolai Valuev is a friend of mine. No, he's not a friend of mine, but he is a Russian or Ukrainian boxer, and he is he has super huge eyebrow areas here and some other area. He has kind of a lot of testosterone probably, and that's why some features of his skull are too much. Let me show you, by the way. It will be interesting, I'm thinking. And he, by the way, is from... yeah, you see him? His skull is very kind of interesting, very low forehead. There's no kind of going up the forehead and then backwards or a little bit backwards. It goes like huge eyebrow ridges here on the top and then backwards. This very interesting, and that's why he's a boxer. But he was a boxer. Now he's a deputat, which is some kind of I'm not sure in English how it is, but yeah, the Russian people will know. Yeah, he is something like senator or something. Yeah, in the Russian Senate, the Russian version of the Senate. It's called Duma, Russian Duma. Now he super huge, and by the way, many beginners when they make a head, it looks like him because they make huge eyebrow ridges in here, and the lips are strange, and here you have big, you see this picture for example, huge cheekbones also, and yeah, a lot of testosterone, and it's a little bit too much. So if you want your sculpt to look like him, it's okay, you can do it. But if you want it to look like more like a normal person, like a middle-sized person or something, don't do exactly that. So yeah, I will just add a little bit more meat around these corners here. So if you want to do an old person, you can emphasize on these lines in here. As you can see, even I have them in these lines. You can emphasize on them if you want the person to look older. But if you want the person to look younger, never emphasize on them. Just draw over them a little bit and stuff like that. Because in young person, you see, even without mouth, our guy looked older with emphasizing on this. And when I just smooth them, now he looks younger. Now, I always look at the 3/4 view. So you see, here I have this kind of iris. It's not super big. Then I don't have it too much in. It's okay. I mean, we have to have this. Then we have the cheekbone, but not super pronounced. It's not like going out. We have to be careful. And of course, it depends on which kind of nationality you're doing. But when you look at references, make sure you have a reference 3/4 view. So because it gives you a lot of idea how exactly those areas are. Because you see this here. And then we have the muzzle of the mouth, kind of visible. And then we have the chin. And of course, the nose in here and everything. You can see how the nose goes, how big is this front part of the nose, for example, and stuff. And of course, the mouth, but the mouth we haven't done yet. We will do it in a few seconds probably. And here we will have a little bit of a meat around the mouth because it's very important. And I will show you why. Now, let me show you how beginners make the mouth. They just draw over and pull it, and this is kind of a beginner mouth. It most of the time looks like this. Okay, we don't want that. So I will just Control Z out of that. What we will do is, what I always suggest you do is, listen very carefully. Leave your phone. Leave Facebook. Just listen here. Now, the mouth. It doesn't matter if you start the mouth in here and make it like this, because we can move it later. But of course, it's not a very good idea to start it that low. It's a good idea to start it, so between the nose and the chin, the mouth should be a little bit more up than the middle point. A little bit up. So around this area, for example, will be fine for the mouth. And we do it. And just dig a little bit deeper on the sides and then push like this. So, which brush is better for exactly this portion of the mouth is the down standard brush in ZBrush, and in Blender is the Draw Sharp brush. That's what I'm using. And I'm digging, of course, in Blender with Control, in ZBrush with Alt. Digging. Of course, in Blender and in ZBrush, this particular brush, which is down standard and Draw Sharp, they are the opposite by default, but I always turn it. I mean, but yeah, these are just technical stuff. So now I will add meat around the mouth, and you see adding meat around the mouth. It's kind of important. Don't overdo it. I will smooth it then, but I'm adding it because we have to. And then I will push the area just below the lower lip, just below it, and then push the area just on the sides of the mouth. So now the mouth, I will show you how the mouth is kind of going into the face. From the bottom view, the mouth, this is the upper lip. It's going in the face. And this is the lower lip, which is going a little bit more even in. Here we will have the bottom part of the lower lip, which is just here. Here you don't have it in this position. This is kind of a flat. And here also. But here in the middle, you sometimes have this kind of bottom plane. And as you can see in my case, bottom plane. And then in the side, you don't have a bottom plane. It's just like flat down. Okay. And all those meats around the mouth are going like this. Like this, you see? And it looks ridiculous if you look at like from the bottom. But when you look at it from normal point of view, it looks kind of okay. Of course, it can be not so pronounced, but still, the mouth is going like in. It's going in and it pushes the meat around it. So yeah, we have to do it. And of course, we can make those lips a little bit bigger, a little bit fuller. It will be fine. Push this area a little bit more forward. It depends. We can make him smile a little bit. Yes. Overall, he looks kind of cool. Although, I am noticing here a little bit that our mouth area is a bit small. We can increase our mouth by just pulling it back out, and it can be bigger overall, and the nose can be smaller if we want. We can easily, you know, increase the nose. It's too much. Decrease it. It's kind of okay. And it depends, of course, on the race. Depends on the model itself overall. If we want to do another race, of course, we can try. I'm not sure I will make it, but it will be something like this. Then it will be something like this. And the lips have to be, of course, much, much bigger. So overall, we can do it very, very quickly if we know exactly what the race features are. You know, it's not nothing too much. I will Control Z out of that, and we'll continue. This was just a lyrical announce, we can say. Let's see, by the way. Okay, the nose, I think, can go a little bit more up. Yes. And then the mouth area will become a bit bigger. So the mouth area is what I called everything below the nose. And we have to make it kind of cool. I mean, kind of big. It shouldn't be very small, this area here. And also it shouldn't be very big like this, for example. There are people who are making this as their face. So the nose shouldn't be that small. It should be relatively good size. You have to watch your reference and see how big it will be the nose and the mouth. And overall, the distance between the eyes and the nose is a little bit maybe smaller than the distance between the nose and the chin here. But of course, references and practice is your guy. That's why I'm not giving you, you know, some absolute measurements and stuff like this. Overall, you know that from the front view, you have to know that from the front view, the height of the head is like this, for example, yes. And the middle of it, around the middle of it, is your eyes. But this is overall true when the guy is looking forward and stuff like this. Then we have the lower point of the nose is where the ear is starting, and it finishing around the upper point of the eyelids, around that, or the eyebrows. It depends, because sometimes when I'm like frowning, my eyebrows are pretty low, and it could be there. So the mouth, many people think that the mouth is in the middle point between, you know, the nose and the chin. But actually, most of the time the mouth is above the middle point. The middle point is around the lower lip here. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it, but it's most of the time is. Also the corners of the eyes. If we go lines from the corners of the eyes down, it will be the width of our nose. That's overall true, but not always. But you can, if you make it like this, you will not make a mistake. Then from the middle of the eye down will be the corners of our mouth. And that's mostly true. But as I said, look at your models, try to see on them what is the difference, because those things vary a little bit, not too much. Those are proportions which are kind of true for a lot of people, but they can vary, as I said. Okay, we have a face. I will not say that you have to go too much over this level of detail. Now I'm doing a little bit of things on the neck. I'm making sure I have this line in here and this line in here, and just smooth it. I don't want this line to be super pronounced. And here I will smooth the back, and what I need is the sternocleidomastoid to see it. Okay, it's here, and then to push this area a little bit, because I need separation between the sternocleidomastoid muscle and the traps, because the traps are separate muscles. As you can see here, the traps is this in the back, and the sternocleidomastoid is this front part here. Alright, so we have a nice face going on, kind of. Of course, if we want, we can make it another type of nose, for example, like this. it can be a completely different person with this type of nose. You see, but from the skull, you never know if his nose is like this, because this is cartilage. This is not the nose itself. The nose can be like this. Even it can be something like this. It can be like this. It can be broken like this. You know, a lot of noses you can have from one skull. But overall, we are doing kind of idealized proportions. That's why we're doing normally this, probably a little bit more up. Yeah. So, for the eyes, how do we do the eyes? Let's do a little bit eyes, and then we will go to another exercise. Very useful, by the way. All the exercises are useful, of course. Now, let me add a little bit more resolution here. So at least double the resolution, then smooth. And when we smooth, we'll be able now to, for example, push the corners of the mouth a little bit and make this M shape of the mouth. Do it like this and make the mouth. You see how the mouth, let me pay your attention to the point that the mouth, the upper lip is kind of very narrow at the end, and then it goes like M-shaped the top, and the bottom part also is M-shaped. And then the lower lip, I will dig here, because the lower lip has to be a little bit narrower than the upper lip most of the time. And then I will add the meat in here again and smooth it a little bit, and it should work. Should work. Of course, sometimes it doesn't. This time it worked a little bit. Now, I will increase this front part of the nose, pull it backwards to be a little bit flatter nose. And then let's make the nose. Let's see how we can make the nose. Let's make it. A little nose. Why not? Nostrils. By the way, where are the nostrils? They are more of the sides of the nose. So these walls on the side are thinner, and in the middle it's a little bit of a bigger distance here. Then the nose itself is going inward here. Make sure you do that, because if you don't do this inward thing, it depends on your model, but most of the time it will not look good. And also never push this area like this. You don't want to do this. It has to stay kind of, you need this meat in here. You need it, this meat. I'm even putting more meat in there. And then smooth a little bit, especially here on the top. Just don't do this a lot. This is not good. I will smooth it, then I will even feel it a little bit. The nostrils, and feel here, above it, and then smooth it again. And it will be better. Now for the eyes. The eyes are tricky part, but still we have an upper eyelid, which in male overall is good to look like this. Like straight, straight, straight. Two straight lines, like this, 3. And then the lower can be a little bit more smooth. And this is for the male, because the fat part here on the top is kind of pushing it, and especially when we do this. You see, it's not like round the top part. On the female, of course, it should be more round, definitely. So it depends what you're doing, female or male. Or shemale, doesn't matter. Now, push it here. And then we have the crease. Most of the time, if we are not Asians, we have creases over our eyes like this. So the crease in here is kind of visible. Then here, this is the fat part which is coming with skin above the upper eyelid, and it kind of finishes overall in here. And then the crease here is a little bit thin, but it's there. And you see, our guy is kind of sad, but we cannot do anything about it because he doesn't have eyebrows. Probably that's why he's sad. Let's make him a little bit of eyebrows. And in the male, I usually make the eyebrows closer to the eyes than in the female. In the female, the eyebrows can be a little bit more up, but in the male, have to be strong, have to be, you know, manly. And the eyes, you see, now when I'm doing this, frowning a little bit to look more manly, the eyes and the eyebrows are kind of very close together. They are basically one above the other, which is kind of can be okay. We don't want these temporal lines to be that huge, because there, most of the time, we have muscle in here, a little bit of fat in here, but there is muscle in here, which in some people is very, very thick muscle, and it looks like this, even. And since it's attached to the temporal line, you see the temporal line, but you see it's here, of course. I will inflate a little bit. You see it, but it's like inflated here, and then the temporal line, and then the normal skull here. But here, outside the temporal line, you have inflation. It depends on the person. It's always depends on the person. I kind of usually do it like more flat in the front part, and at the side it can inflate a little bit, and it's fine for me. You see, this guy doesn't look super cool. I would even consider moving this part a little bit back, and the teeth and the everything of the skull a little bit back, and this for me is better looking. It was too much forward, this old part in here. He doesn't look too much like a regular European male, and he was looking something like mixed and not exactly. That's why I told you we will kind of have to probably move the skull a little bit, and let's see how the skull looks, by the way. Now, you see, it's not like it was like this. Okay, come on. It was like this, which is cool for a skull, but then it's now like this because it's better for our purposes. Yeah, our guy again like this, or we move them back and like this. This is definitely better in my opinion. And also, I think our cheekbones are a little bit too big, so I will push them and push this area and go to the skull and push it a bit, just a bit. Yeah, because from 3/4, I don't like to see too much of a cheek pronouncing there. It's just my experience here. Also, what you can do is do a line in here like this. And you see, this is the chewing muscle in here. I'm just making it and then smoothing it, but it's there. Then I will push a little bit here, below it. Then this area here, there are some fat pads in here, coming from here. We're just gonna make them and then smooth them. And from the front view, what we are getting is this, which looks relatively fine. I will make sure this is not super pronounced like this. Giggity giggity, you know, no. We go for kind of more inward, like more normal person. If you're making a superhero, of course, it will be more square jaw, but in this case, it will not be. Now, what else? What else? Yeah, from the front view, as you can see, we have this area here, which is the chin, and it's kind of visible. Then we have a little bit of area here, and then we have this jaw part, and then we will have some other planes in here, and this overall will be our character. And usually we can see this line, this kind of a plane in here. If we kind of make it too stylized, it will be a plane in here, a plane in here. But we are not doing it yet. All right, I also think that our eyebrow area is too big. I'll pull it back, and it's now a bit better. Alright, this seems like a good exercise. In the next video, without a skull, we have to try to make this planes of the head, and then, this is very important, we have to try to make these planes of the head, because this is more kind of interesting, because we have more things going on. So, every exercise you do, everything has true into it. It's not that one is true and the other is not true. Everything can be true. Of course, we have to try to do it. Now, yeah, you see, this is very cool. So, very, very stylized, only the main shapes, which is what I'm trying to teach you here. Then a little bit of planes, very good looking, and then the head with a little bit more smoothness, but still a little bit stylized. This is still stylized, but it's okay. We kind of like it. This is a female. We may also try to do that, but in the next video, we will try to do some planes of the head. Let's see, this is a female planes of the head. This is a male, I think, although it looks a little bit like female again. But we may try to do this one. This is from Anatomy for Sculptures. This one, of course, is the absolute, minimum requirements of the head to look like a head. And yeah, these are Azaro head from one guy that made it 3D. But be careful with the Azaro planes of the head. This is very famous, Azaro planes of the head. But be careful with that because it usually has a very small forehead, which is not looking very good. As you can see, from here it's looking kind of okay. This is the female Azaro head, but still from here it looks like the front part, the face part is too big, and this upper part is not that developed. And it looks a little bit like a caveman, so we have to be careful also with that while making this. Alright, see you in the next video.